talk dragon to me. We're gonna cut that out. We're gonna cut that out and pretend I didn't do that.
Nah, dude, that's when you're gonna be front and center, dude. That's when we zoom in right there.
Great. All right. Welcome back, everybody, to Talk Dragon to Me. Here we are. We're going to be talking about episode 3 of the 10-part miniseries House of Dragon. We got our first time person on here, good friend of the show, Abhi. How you doing, buddy? What's going on with you?
Pretty good. Excited to talk about this show. Excited to talk about Matt Smith. And yeah, should be good. It's been a pretty good 3 episodes so far, and I'm excited to see where the rest of the show goes. So yeah, excited to discuss it.
Yeah. I would say overall, my general thoughts on this is just, it's Matt going and doing some shit. He's lines and lines of men, right? And he's doing it with a gigantic lizard dragon, like as his ally. Who else wouldn't fear this guy going through battle? You know.
The analogies you're using are ridiculous, dog. Matt Smith really came in and stole the show. Like I would genuinely like this episode because it really did focus. At least to me, it focused on the distance and the problems between Rhaenyra and her father, the king. But then out of nowhere, it's like a battle that was just so badass from like a character I genuinely disliked for like a lot of the past 2 episodes.
Oh, he's terrible, but he's like great, you know.
But this is badass out of nowhere. It's like, damn, I can't on you that much.
Like you see him, like, bruh.
I think personally, I still think the pilot of this is my favorite, just because I don't know what it was, but also just not watching Game of Thrones for so long, and like the last couple seasons sucked so hard. It's like, oh, they're actually back in the world, and it's like its own creative thing. It's obviously plays on like the show before. They have like some references to the show, whatever, but like it is its own thing inherently, and that's what I thought was just so cool. But I do really like the pacing of it. I didn't know it was going to be so fast paced because like this episode just starts off with like a 2-year jump. I was like, oh, her stepmom and friend, ex-friend, like now she's pregnant. They're going to have 2 kids. It's like, damn, things are just moving along. And Aegon just like, his characterization is just so interesting, dude. Just like we've seen him like put all his faith into the first son his first wife died, and then the second episode, all the fucking bullshit with like who he's supposed to marry, like all that gross stuff. And then now we're here, and he's like, and I like that scene in the fire pit too, where he's like, what am I doing? What if I was wrong? Like, that's such a good way to tackle like these like immoral characters, or like that's what Game of Thrones is best at. That's what like just this world is best at. Just like how gray of an area is morality in this world.
No, see, that's what I really like about Aegon is that like he could have been just a very one-dimensional king, which we've seen in Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
numerous times, like several times. Almost every king was an asshole. But this king is very like he seems to genuinely care about his family, but is so stuck. Not even that he's like adamantly trying to continue it, but he's stuck within his tradition, as well as like the idea of that vision of having a son, or that's going to be like the best king ever, that he willingly sacrificed his life to fulfill it. I haven't seen that with a character or like someone in that role with Game of Thrones. Or at least I haven't, or maybe it's just been that long, and I'm really just remembering only the last like 3 seasons of Game of Thrones, and I'm just like,
it's hard not to think of it. Because Robert Baratheon was the first king, right, in like the original show, and I thought like he was an asshole for like a big part too, but he did like really care about Ned, and like I don't know, we saw like a soft side, but it's not like this, not like as integrated with like how fucked up like the values of like the royal family are, you know. At least so early in the season, I didn't know we were gonna like get right into it, but. It's good. Some good drama.
I think it kind of, you know, I thought the intro to the series was really important. They spend a lot of time in the actual book, you know, Fire and Blood, where they talk about like the reign of like, you know, Viserys's father, right, and how he ultimately came to the throne. They spend a lot of time on that. So if they were going to just start in the middle of the book, I think they picked a really good spot for it, right? Viserys isn't a super strong king, and it's ultimately because he's not a strong, he doesn't have a strong like one way or the other it ultimately leads to the downfall of the Targaryen family, right? So I think he like that actor is playing it so beautifully. I gotta say that
Rhaenyra.
she
Or
is as well, but the
Aegon?
actress playing King
Oh,
Viserys. Are
Viserys,
you
yeah.
guys talking? His name is Paddy
Am I Aegon?
Considine?
The king?
Oh wait, is the
Currently?
king Aegon or who's Aegon? Or
Aegon, I think is his son. Aegon's the
oh, it's the
son, the
son, right?
one
Or
that.
Viserys is the
Oh,
king. Yeah, yeah.
son.
My bad. Yeah, I'm getting mixed up with
Viserys.
all the fucking names, dude. It happens every time with
I
the
was
show.
like, I was like thinking to myself, is that his name? I was like I was having a panic attack because I thought his name was
That's what
Viserys.
Abhi said.
I just spent
Alright,
two
Yeah,
episodes
my
calling him
bad.
just like Viserys this whole time, you know. I don't know. But I think he's playing it so beautifully, and to kind of go back to the pyre where he was like, showing that remorse and showing the fact that like to actually talking with his wife and everything and being frank with the fact that he was like, I didn't think I was gonna have to remarry, and I murdered my wife. Like that shit. The fact that I really do love how they're putting a lot of focus on what's going on with him because I think it's ultimately going to be the thing that they're building towards is what happens once he's gone, right? He's the glue that's ultimately holding this whole chaos together, right? It's interesting how they assigned him, especially in the on the hunt scene, right? They
Mm.
assigned him like right in the middle, right between where like you don't know who's on either side of it, but he's placed in the middle of this party, right? And he's essentially the thing that brings the two sides together in it, right? So I think that's something that's really interesting that they're doing like with him because once he's gone, that's when shit is gonna
It's
like just
bad.
hit the
Yeah.
fan, you know?
But then they
It's
have
very
that
interesting.
the hand to the king. He plays like just kind of like a Littlefinger role too, just like toying
Yeah,
with
Yeah.
just all like the higher class, like higher families and everything. So he's definitely trying to get him to turn on Rhaenyra, which it seems like to me, right?
It doesn't seem like I mean, absolutely he wants to get like his own on the throne for sure, which is why he got his daughter to do the do and whatnot. But
Mm.
like,
do the do.
yeah, she
Likely
did.
put.
You know what I mean? Trying to be tactical. Listen,
You get in there and you do the do.
yeah, you get in there, you get the king, you do the
You gotta
do.
do what you gotta do.
We gotta get up once on our throne. You gotta do that thing. Like his explanation was interesting because technically speaking, actually not even technically, he's actually not wrong in the sense of like most people won't accept Rhaenyra on the throne.
Mm.
So he's being like a little finger and being a very conniving, terrible dude, but simultaneously is also like, yeah, but you're acting in tandem of what the world is. Like he's just accepting the world for what it is. Of like, if it's not, if they're not going to accept Rhaenyra, it has to be a man. So it might as well be one of our own. So that's
Yeah.
why I'm like, understand your mentality of trying to weasel your way in there, but it still doesn't negate the fact that you're weaseling your way into a family dynamic that you have no part of. Not to mention between like turmoil within that family of losing loved ones. So it's like you're still an awful human being, but within the dynamics of the world, like it
It
really
makes
is that
sense for his character for sure.
I feel
it's
like
really
what
the
was
problem.
interesting on like a technical level of him within this episode, right? We open up and it's the birth the second name day or first name day of Prince Aegon, right? And Otto Hightower is there and he's with some other dude. I don't know what the character's name was, but he was like Otto was like it takes within this scene he goes from being like Rhaenyra is supposed to be the prince is supposed to be the queen one day to by the end of that scene being like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna manipulate this as much as humanly possible, you
Yeah.
know. So I feel like on a technical level, like I get they're squeezing a lot of time within there, but they're going like on that aspect, I felt like they went a little fast, a little bit too quick because otherwise I would have just had him be full Littlefinger and been like cut that other character out and just have him be like conniving and like
Yeah,
trying to get his fingers into it. You know, I feel like maybe it was
yeah.
they could have gone one way or they could have gone the other, and I felt like they kind of muddied the water with it a little bit. I don't know if that's a
Mm.
bad thing or not. I just felt like it like that whole like interaction and like him going from like one perspective to the other was maybe a little bit rushed, or maybe I just interpreted the his intentions in the scene not correctly. You know, maybe that's just always what he wanted. You know, and he was just like playing coy or something. You know. it could be looked at in a million different ways.
Mhm.
I don't know, but on a technical level, I feel like it was really fast on like that quick turnaround. Overall,
Yeah.
though, like on a technical access, what do you guys think are some things? What are some of the things you think are doing really great right now, and then some things, if there are any, that could be improved upon or poorly executed on?
Um, I think there's a lot that they're doing really well in the show overall. It's still, it's like not something I like even think is like a bad thing. It's just like how shows are. There is just some like iffy CGI when they're like gets like the battles start to get like bigger, especially with the fire effect and stuff. And when the dragons come in, they're like riding it. But it's like that's not something I'm not really complaining about it. It's still a good looking show, like most of it. Um, the battle sequences were really cool, but they were also in a way like when what's his name, Damon started the fight and everything. Like he surrendered and then he took out like 10 of the pirate dudes, and it just felt like I feel like this show, because it has so many more fantasy elements from the get go that Game of Thrones didn't. It kind of feels like they have more ground to cover with like the supernatural stuff. Or like the fantasy stuff. So I feel like sometimes that can be like too much in the beginning, like him just taking out like 12 dudes. I feel like, I mean, but he is trained and everything, so I don't know. But it just felt like it was like too much at first. Like you wouldn't see Jon Snow do that in the beginning, or like anyone in Game of Thrones wouldn't be taking like 20 dudes on in like the first 3 episodes. So it's not a complaint per se. It's just I don't know how they're gonna keep the momentum, I guess, in a way. And if is it gonna feel more grounded again? Because Game of Thrones, like the first 4 seasons, felt so grounded. And this one they have like the body horror and stuff, which is super cool. And there's a lot of gore in the show. Like even that random boar scene, where just they pop up and she just like Rhaenyra just starts like stabbing that boar.
Yeah.
Like that was awesome.
Yeah, for no reason.
Yeah, I was like, okay, they just needed to throw that in. Yeah.
CGI is kind of wonky at times, but that's just fine. Like,
Yeah.
TV. But the fact that it's TV, it definitely works really well. But I guess like the only, I wouldn't say it's necessarily a gripe. It's more of like a nitpick. But I kind of want Rhaenyra's character to have a bit more depth going forward. Because I feel like out of every character that we've seen so far, she's like the most cookie cutter, for lack of a better description. And usually I say that's because we've seen this character before, as opposed to like Viserys to me, where it's like this is a very like multi-dimensional character, where it's like this dude's problematic in a lot of ways, but like I sympathize with him in a lot of different ways. Or even like what's his name, Otto, or like the little finger, yeah, the little finger character. Like he sucks, but also he makes sense in a lot of ways. A lot of the other characters seem very multifaceted, but I think Rhaenyra is just kind of one note as of right now. So I'm excited to see.
Do you think that's because? Do you think that's because they're going to be spending more time with her? Because I think because I thought the same thought while I was watching. I was like, I do feel like she's kind of like surface level, right? It's like, can you cut your dad a little bit of slack? Like,
no,
he's
like,
maybe worried about a little less about like people taking her throne, and worried a little bit more like, no, I'm just gonna be taking it. Like it's already a done deal. I don't need to worry about it. Maybe some of these things could have not happened. But on the other hand, Viserys is like getting older and visibly older within the show. Like I think like they definitely made him like wider. His hairs were siding further back onto his head. They're aging him up, and I would say pretty rapidly. From episode to episode.
Like 3 years.
So yeah. So I think he's gonna. Like. I think because of that, they had to like take care of him because he's not. I'm
I 100% agree.
So I think they're focusing on him because I think he's a pretty crucial element to like the structure of this story, right? I think once we get to the second act, that's where it's going to be a lot of Rhaenyra, a lot of Damian, a lot of the best friend's Otto Hightower's daughter. I forgot her name.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot like how Ned was the focus of season 1, and then just gone, Like, like shifting the story.
Yeah.
I think that's a really cool part about Game of Thrones too, where it's like a lot of the people who
No
spark.
plot.
Yeah, exactly. No plot armor, and a lot of the people who spark the events are like kind of like just martyrs, you know. And then it's like they spark the rest of like the events that follow, like because of those events. And that I really like Rhaenyra. I think the actress for her is like amazing. She's killing it.
Yeah, she's doing an amazing job.
It's definitely, I know what you mean by the cookie cutter. Like we've seen the trope before, but it's also just like as a protagonist in the rest of this, I think you need someone who is young enough and naive to have that moral goodness, like sway so much more than the others. Because I feel like without her, there would be that imbalance. And even though it is a little cookie cutter, I think it just works for this introduction. Because I know there's another actress who plays her. There's going to be the time jump, and that's when they really going to start to like evolve her character. You know?
I do agree. I do agree. There is like an ignorance to like youthful like characters, right? You think that you can change the world and that it's not bound, right? She even does that in like I think maybe I can't remember, maybe the second episode where she's talking with the queen who never was. Right?
Oh yeah.
And they were like, she within her ignorance is thinking that like no, it wasn't because you were a woman, is because it was you, right? It has nothing to do with me. Right, I'm going to be able to stand alone, and I think as this is progressing, she's slowly coming to the realization that the patriarchy that is founded within Westeros is very, very strong and solidified, and that's where I think it's going to be really important to see her. I think that's where you are seeing that element. It's her realizing, like, shit, I actually don't have as much power as a man would, right, in this particular situation, right? Even though you were born and you're now the princess of Dragonstone, meaning you're the heir to the throne, right? Even though that's already been said, there's still going to be people out there that want your brother to do it just because it's a man.
Like the fact that you're competing with a 2-year-old for the throne, like that's like come on.
Can we just talk about like the guy who comes up and is like, "Sir, I would like to talk about Rhaenyra."
Oh yeah,
and he was like, "That thing to solve."
Yeah.
We could have him for marrying Aegon, and he was like, the king was like, he's two. He's two.
Just got bored. Like, what are you talking about? But it also just highlights.
This is crazy.
I did like this episode, even though like I didn't. Like this episode was kind of weird for me with Rhaenyra, and again, it's really just the archetype. I'm not crazy about this, but like, I do think that it highlights a lot of the hypocrisy and the issues with a hierarchy in this landscape, because even the king himself is noticing like, yo, all you guys are vultures who are just trying to get yourselves onto the throne.
Where do you guys think this they're gonna take it from here? You know, we're 3 in, we got 7 more episodes to go. Where do you guys think that they're gonna go from here? There's a lot of directions that they could go, and obviously this is a completed book within its source material, so it's gonna be interesting to see how far away they get from it. Do you think that they're staying somewhat faithful? I don't know if you guys have read it or listened to audio. But as of right now, I think they're doing a pretty good job staying to at least the grounding foundation of like the original novel. Obviously, they're like in the middle of like the book as a whole, but I would say like they're doing pretty well with it. I'm interested to see like where you guys are thinking that they're going to take this. You know, especially since you haven't like listened to the audiobook or read the book before. So where do you guys think this is going to go really? Just a wild guess, you know.
Definitely think Daemon's gonna come back now and try to reclaim the throne or try to like make political moves to, because he stopped I don't know what that guy's name was, but he was creepy as hell. The Crab King. So he stopped the Crab King, and so the thing with the Crab King too was like he was stopping like trading and stuff like on the ports, right? So that's why Daemon's plan was to go do that for like 2 years.
Yeah. I guess that's what was happening. I really was kind of confused on that. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, I was a little confused too, but that's how I think like he made that plan because he thinks that like if he does that, he can come back, and kind of have like some political power for himself, other than like for being his brothers. So I think he's gonna come back. There's probably gonna be like huge feud, but I think like Viserys is gonna die, and I don't know, maybe mutiny or something.
Yeah.
I think Viserys is going to die either episode 5 or 6 at the very latest.
Mhm.
You know, I'd be really surprised if he stayed around too much longer than that, because if he dies any later than that, I feel like they're not going to have enough room to develop like what's going to happen for the rest of the series, right? If they want to if they want to complete this whole book in 10 episodes, I think they got to do it within episode no later than episode 5.
Yeah.
I don't know if they would
like
do the whole book in one season, though. I feel like they've, like, just from, like,
I would
a
love-
business standpoint, I feel like they've learned not to cram for Game of Thrones, especially. I hope.
Yeah.
I hope they've learned that. But I don't know. Because I would love it if they just stretch it out. Because so far, like, I like the slower storytelling more, too, especially for Game of Thrones. It's, like, the characters, the dialogue, like... My favorite part in, like, Game of Thrones was, like, Jaime and, like, Brienne becoming, like, close. Like, that's just something you would not expect. Like, two opposite characters. And, like, I want more of that in this show. And, like, that character drama when it just slows down. And I hope they can, like, channel that.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
That'd be great if they switch it out for multiple seasons. I don't know if that's what they're going to do.
Mhm. I really...
I do know that HBO was like, this stuff was hella expensive.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I mean, but the viewership's
and
crazy right now. Like, it's doing very well.
Yeah.
especially with the what's the Lord of the Rings.
Oh,
that's
Rings of
coming out.
Power?
Comparatively speaking, everybody's like Game of Thrones just hits the mark on it, right? No one's gonna want to watch both. It's too much fantasy.
I do kind of want to watch both.
I'm looking at it. I heard that it was getting like some abysmal reviews, so I was like, great, okay, I'm watching the right show. Click, let's move on, baby. You know, that's
I heard.
my
I
kind
did
of.
hear that it wasn't doing too well. I don't know. I do want to check it out because I want to see like what's going on with that. But,
Yeah, I know a lot of the controversy too was like a lot of like anti-woke like kind of stuff about like them like having more of a diverse cast, and same with like there's that same criticism with like a subset. Exactly, there's always gonna be these fuckers, dude.
Yeah, but also I just think it's like I just think
it's
fandoms. It's just fandoms. It's just like no matter what. I feel like for some reason like as the trio have to have this conversation. Like fandoms just be wilding the fuck out and just need to or like just want to feel like they
haters are gonna hate, man.
Yeah.
But I do. I mean, I do feel like potentially. I don't know what's. I don't necessarily know what's gonna happen. I do feel like Viserys is either gonna die episode 5. I'm gonna call it because I don't know. I do hope that they continue the series, but it seems like it's gonna be a limited series just because. Like from what was being discussed, they're trying to do other books within this world. And it's gonna be like an anthology type deal. So hopefully they continue it like as a season 2 and then do like a book. But we'll see what happens.
Is there only one book with like this story?
Yeah. So this is the story of like from like the old man who's on the chair who's like, "You're the king now."
Uh-huh.
Right, the Joe Biden of Westeros.
Dark Brandon. Dark Brandon of Westeros. Oh man,
that's just hilarious. Okay, no, but so like that, it's like his entire like anthology, and I think his parents, and it goes all the way up until like Rhaenyra's, like a little bit past like Rhaenyra's reign. Like it's pretty much just like this family's like timeline. You know, it's not it's how they rise from power. You know. And they even talk about that a little bit at the very beginning, right? That the most dangerous thing for the House of Dragon isn't anybody else, right? The only thing that could destroy a dragon is another dragon.
Yeah.
So I think they're really kind of setting up like this civil war that's going to happen within the House of Dragon or the Targaryen family. So I'm excited to see that and see where it goes from there. And I think that's really what the second half of the episodes 6 through 10 are going to be primarily focused on.
Yeah, I feel like just ending the shot with Matt Smith soaked in blood, accomplishing like what he did just to spite his brother, not for his help. Like the rage is there. That's where it ends. Like it's happening. Yeah. Like next episode, I think it's just going down.
Yeah, we should definitely talk a bit more about like Matt Smith and that whole section. That was, badass.
Yeah.
Dude, for real, like the last 15 minutes of the episode were just the battle. I'm like, holy shit, this is fucking
Like,
sick.
whoa, I didn't know this at all.
Yeah, it was like so slow the whole episode. And then okay, we're going in. And
Here we go.
yeah. I wish though we did see a
would-
little more of them struggling in those 2 years, like surviving there instead of just that final battle. I wish we could see them like fail, like or yeah.
Right.
Yeah, just them struggle to
I think
win.
that would have been a strong fit. Yeah. Like kind of keep seeing them like actually like struggling and not being able to like pull off the victory, and showing that like the doubt that the soldiers are like legitimately having for Damien. Like we hear them talking about the fact that they don't trust Damien
Exactly.
for like what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
But we never see like what might be a reason that motivates that, aside from him like just squishing a guy who's nailed to a pole.
Yeah.
Right? My friend, save me! You
That
know,
was
like,
crazy.
Wow.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like yeah, I feel like like Game of Thrones would have slowed down, and there would have been less like, because from that moment right before the battle, like they just had that one discussion, and it was so just focused on carrying the story along instead of like who these characters were and like figuring out like what was happening for 2 years. You know, they just wanted to push it to the final battle, and the final battle was awesome, but I wish they just had a little more setup before.
Yeah, because like I remember when Robb Stark first went into the war, that was like 2.5 seasons, right? That he was on the march. That
Yeah.
he was going from town to town and battling, right? That was a huge a long time of like that they focused on this particular early stage of the war, right? What happened afterwards, right, is something else. But like I think that's just I agree with you. It would be nice to have that kind of thing where it was like have this huge buildup, but I really think they're just trying to squeeze this whole book into these 10 episodes. You know?
Damn, for
Because
sure.
because I don't really see any reason why they can't just have him be like to see like that development, right? Because like Fumbah was talking about it a little bit earlier, right? Before we hopped on, that it like that whole scene was great and it's all fine and dandy, and he's like he runs into a cave and he walks out with the guy's half shredded torso that he just cut in half, right? And it's all great, but like you don't even really know why this guy is like being an asshole. He's just kind of like a creepy dude with a mask on, right? He doesn't say a single word. He doesn't have a single line of dialogue the entire time.
He was cool, and I
kinda
really thought there'd be more setup for him too. I was like, "Whoa, is this like the villain of the whole series?" Like that's what I thought at the end of the episode too, because I don't know the story, but it's like, whoa, the way they were setting up, it's like, oh my god, is this the big bad? If there is a big bad, but nah, he's split in half now. He literally got Last Jedi, bro.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I was very I loved it. Like I thought the battle was really cool because it reminded me of like Battle of the Bastards, and that's like one of my favorite fights ever in Game of Thrones.
That shit goes
like,
so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I literally watched this thing the other day just because I missed it. I was like, this is pure cinematic.
It
Yeah,
is, man. That's one of the best episodes put on TV. Like so good.
It's
super
that
good.
was peak Game of Thrones. Peak.
Yeah, Red Wedding, Battle of the Bastards. Like,
it's
oof.
downhill from there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy how immediately after the Battle of the Bastards, it's like we're a bad show now.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, I'm saving it. But yeah, I do think that it was a really great showcase of this character's abilities. Like, because we've been seeing a lot of it, we've been hearing a lot of it, and we've been seeing that he's sadistic and that he's kind of a not great person. We've never seen his battle etiquette, or just the fact that he's like we've never seen his potential as like a fighter. So to have him run by himself and then basically slaughter like several battalions on his own showcases like, nah, you good at what you do.
Yeah, he's raw.
Dog in you. I see you, dog. Yeah, man.
But it was sneaky, bro. He surrendered. He pretended to surrender. Like, yeah. But I like that part of his character too, where they show that, where it's like he is a conniving, like he's just terrible. He doesn't have rules.
No.
But the fact that he did the craziest part of it is, or the part that I love the most, is that he did it all of this out of sheer pettiness. It's just like, yo, my brother helped me fuck you.
Yeah, that's so cool for his character. Like, he was literally offering him a hand to win. He's like, nah. I'd rather die. Literally, I'd rather die trying.
I'd rather kill myself. Like,
Than take my brother's help.
Suicide, Damien. It's suicide. I don't care.
It's crazy.
When my brother gets here.
Yeah, exactly. But that's awesome. I love that.
No, yeah.
Also, the fact that the dude was fast enough to like outrun like 99% of the arrows.
Oh my
god! He finally gets hit, he's kind of like, all right, let's keep going.
Yeah.
He's going about his day. Nothing really happened.
When he was like in that shack. When he was just like in that shack, the arrows were like hitting the poles. I'm like, you are getting so lucky right now, bro.
There's no reason why you're not.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it was awesome. But once again, it doesn't feel inherently like Game of Thrones action, like to me.
Right,
it's established, but that's fine. Like if it's its own show and it's different, that's cool too. I just want to see how it develops with it, and I still want like that grounded realism at times.
Yeah.
It does feel like more magical than the original Game of Thrones show, but I also think it's because they have a magical animal.
Yeah, it's about the House of Dragon. Exactly. Yeah.
You know, like they have literally a unicorn roaming around, and people would probably be like, "Oh, there's a unicorn." You know, like I wouldn't be surprised at this point. You know, they have dragons. They have dragons. You know, like I definitely see how it's different. The dragons look great, by the way.
Yeah.
Like that red one, the red worm or whatever the hell he's called. I wouldn't want to mess with him. That thing is huge.
Yeah, the close-ups are like, whoa, that shit's detailed, bro.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
They just like the CGI is great for the dragons because it's like, damn, y'all seem real.
Yeah.
It's like,
I think it's just when it just meshes with like someone on top of it or something, it looks a little iffy. But like on its own, it looks crazy.
I mean, like
what did you guys think of the opening shot for the Stepstones?
For what?
What did you say? I was wondering what you thought of the opening scene for Stepstones, right? Where it's you get a wide shot of the battle scene, right, and you see like Bloodworm or Redworm or whatever the hell, and Prince Damien the dragon like flying around, trying like laying fire down on the hillside on the Stepstones, right? And it dollies back or it goes back, and you ultimately reveal like the army that's like observing this from the hillside.
Oh yeah,
I thought that was absolute beautiful establishing shot because I felt
awesome.
like it mixed the CGI of it, right, and then incorporated it into like this really like great like, okay, here's the actual set. You know, I thought it meshed very well, especially for an establishing shot. I thought it was a really great integration between those two like things. You know, I thought it was really great.
Yeah, that seems sick.
That was one of my favorite shots of the show. Well then, great. Do you guys have any like closing thoughts on this or?
Yeah, I mean, I genuinely really enjoyed this episode. Like I said, the ending it with Damien was but I guess I didn't touch on it too much, but I did think like spending more time with that battle would have had me be more invested into it. But the fact, like, seeing a showcase of his abilities, and also just ending it with how, like, killing off this big bad was just really badass. So I was like, all right, bet. Like, I'm not that mad.
Yeah.
It was still a lot of fun. Like, I had a lot of fun with that, so that was cool. And I really do like the dynamic they set up with Daenerys and Viserys. And I'm excited to see how they expand on that going forward, especially it seems like they're just doing a lot of time jumps with each episode. So each episode she's going to be growing up more than Rhaenyra. So I want to see what their established relationship is going to be going forward in the next episode. So, and especially like how people are going to try to usurp her right to the throne, because it seems like they're both on the same page. They want her. She's going to be the queen. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen. But that's really it for me.
Abhi, you got any closing thoughts?
I'm just excited to see where it goes. It's been really fun so far. I want to see some more like grounded battles and stuff for sure. The Rhaenyra and Viserys dynamic is super interesting, and yeah, if like Damon is on his way home, I feel like the stakes are just going to keep ramping up from here out, you know?
Yeah, I'm excited to kind of take a step back. I think from like kind of the battle stuff with the stepstones. Like obviously, I want to see it again because dragons and battles sounds awesome. But I'm also kind of interested to see like one of the big pillars of Game of Thrones, which is like the conniving. You know, like everybody's in the same kind of house
Yeah.
trying to. They're in the back. Who's gonna play the Game of Thrones? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I think that's what's going to be more of a focus on the next two episodes, or at least this next episode. And I'm excited to see like how that whole dynamic of Damien returning back to King's Landing and how that's going to ultimately like implicate for the rest of the show and stuff. So yeah, dude, I'm honestly excited. I think it's doing quite well. It's just it's building on itself. You know, it's just got it can keep building or it can pull a season 8. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You know,
We're off to a good start. I got a lot of hope. A lot more than I did before. You know?
Disappointed before.
Yeah.
I've been disappointed before. You know?
It's true. It's true. It is true.
And then they, like if they get to season 4 and they suck, and it's just like, yo, you didn't even wait until like you want to go halfway. It's like
It's true.
I feel some type of way, but yeah, no. Hopefully the show continues to be great. Because so far I feel like it's pretty good, and
yeah,
we'll see where it goes from there. Yeah.
Yep, good. All right, well, guys, this has been another episode of Talk Dragon to Me. We're gonna cut that out. We're gonna cut that out and pretend I didn't do that.
No, dude, that's when you're gonna be front and center, dude. That's when we zoom in right there.
Well, all right. I'm gonna get out of here now. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.